Good morning, everybody, and welcome to The Balancing Act. We are so glad you joined us this morning. I'm Julie Moran.
And I'm Olga Villaverdi.
Today, we're talking health matters. First, a cancer treatment that's providing purpose after diagnosis.
Then we're going to go behind the mystery, introducing you to a couple whose fight to save their infant son led to advocacy and education for others suffering from this rare hereditary disease.
Plus, an insurance company that's helping caregivers, I love that, recognizing the efforts of those providing care for others.
A busy and important show. The Balancing Act starts
right now.
Many of you have stories to tell, stories of survival after having been diagnosed with cancer. You are such an inspiration to us all. There is more hope now than ever before thanks to innovations, new technologies, organizations, and people like our guest this morning. Meet Dr. Lainey Francis, medical oncologist and director of the Integrative Oncology program at UPMC Cancer Center in Pittsburgh. Good morning.
Good morning, Olga.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Doctor, let's be honest, you know, there are so many more stories of survival today, which is wonderful. People are living longer, and the diagnosis is there after a cancer diagnosis, but people are living, and there's more hope.
Absolutely. A cancer diagnosis in 2015 is not the same as it was, and that's for a lot of reasons. First of all, early detection, prevention, and amazing treatments that are targeted and personalized have changed the face of how we treat cancer. In addition, how we handle supportive care, and by that I mean the ways that we help patients through their actual treatment with anti-nausea medicines, ways to manage infection, ways to keep their energy levels up, has also changed the face of cancer in 2015.
Now, hearing the news is always just numbing. I know you are a hematologist and a medical oncologist. You've seen so many patients, and at that moment, when you receive that report that that patient has cancer, it's got to be so difficult for you to give the news.
For me, it is a true privilege and honor of my job that I'm entrusted in that moment, and I really find that to be a sacred time. In that moment, I try to really focus on being clear, being simple, and making sure that I'm getting feedback from patients. Also being aware when people shut down and knowing when we have to come back to that. For me personally, my mother had lymphoma and passed away from that, and being a part of that, being on the other side of that, and seeing how much difficulty it was, even for my family, a family full of doctors and people with so many resources, I've realized just how challenging that is. I think it's made me more compassionate and understanding, and really value the importance of taking that time.
And taking the time to communicate, and not only taking the time to support. Support is huge from family, from friends, from everybody around you. And I was reading here that UPMC Cancer Center in Pittsburgh has so many innovative programs to help patients. Tell me what they are, doctor.
First of all, we have the highest advancements of cancer care. For example, we have multi-specialty clinics that bring in all of the experts to address one patient in one day. And that's everything from the diagnostic tests to options for clinical trials. In addition, at UPMC Cancer Center, we're affiliated and associated with our partner, University of Pittsburgh Cancer Institute, so we have the top-of-the-line science going on right next door, which is huge for cancer medicine. In addition, you know, cancer care now is really helping patients on the ground, and that means new programs, innovative programs like psycho-oncology, survivorship, palliative care, things that address symptoms and the things that maybe faded into the background in the past but are really vital to cancer medicine.
And I know doctors are embracing something called integrative oncology. Define what that means.
I would define that as really a cohesive approach in cancer medicine to address mind, body, and spirit.
Okay.
So what that can look like for a patient, for example, a patient with colon cancer, we weave in a care plan with things like exercise, yoga, mindful meditation, shiatsu, acupuncture, all evidence-based, based on their symptoms. We help implement it and take the burden off the patient, support the patient, supervise it so it's safe, collaborate with the care team. It's really an amazing program.
So rather than just treating the patient to say, okay, you got your treatment, go home now, you're then helping them give kind of like a plan of action to now you got the treatment, you're feeling these side effects, let me help you now along the way. It's almost like holding their hand.
Absolutely. You know, cancer is a complex illness, and we need multiple levels of support, multiple people, multiple tools. That's the way we're going to make a difference for people that have cancer.
Now, it's also important, doctor, and I do want to end with always being your best advocate. Ask questions, get involved, and talk to your doctor, because not everybody does this.
Absolutely. So first of all, educate yourself. So reputable online resources like the American Cancer Society. Come prepared. So have a list of questions that you want your doctor to answer. What is my disease? What is my stage? What is my prognosis? What are the next steps? And lastly, and this is so important, empower yourself. Listen to your body, trust your instincts, share what you think is going on. You are your best advocate.
And ultimately, hopefully, get better soon.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for going that extra mile. I do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
And for more information on empowering yourself on your journey, visit upmccancercenter.com or go to our website, thebalancingact.com. It is every parent's worst nightmare. Without any warning, your healthy newborn baby suddenly comes down with deadly medical symptoms, putting you in a race against time to find a diagnosis. The situation gets so critical that doctors say your baby has less than 48 hours to live. Completely devastating. Where do you turn for help? Joining me this morning are John and Amanda Miller and an associate professor of pediatrics from the University of North Carolina School of Medicine, Dr. Muge Chelikolo. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Amanda, let me start with you. Evan is your son. When he's born, everything is fine, and then you start noticing something's wrong. What happened?
Yes. He was very colicky. We couldn't lay him down flat to sleep. He would scream, had a lot of projectile vomiting, very hard to feed. Just certain issues like that, would present like acid reflux or colic, but there was more to it.
You knew something was wrong?
Yes, it wasn't right.
What happened next, John? Things just got worse?
He just started becoming uneasy, and the main thing was his abdomen kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was distended to the point where it was like a basketball. And I noticed one night when I was giving him a bath that, you know, I stood up and I looked at him kind of different than I had before, and I noticed how big his stomach was. And it was just huge.
And jaundice too?
Yeah, and that's when the gravity started to set in, that something probably is not right here.
And Amanda, at what point did a doctor tell you your son has 48 hours to live? Because I just can't imagine hearing that.
Yeah, we were at 2 hospitals previous, and they just knew that he had ascites, fluid in the abdomen. His blood sugar was only 23. He was in liver failure, and his blood wasn't clotting. So they sent us to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, and at that point, they told us he only had the 48 hours, and they had to get to work. Every specialist came in the room.
And did they figure what was wrong, John?
That place is amazing. We got there about 2 o'clock in the morning, and the room was full of specialists and doctors and nurses and stuff.
And what was the diagnosis?
The diagnosis was tyrosinemia type 1.
Doctor, let me bring you in now. What exactly is that?
It's a metabolic disorder. A special protein, amino acid tyrosine in the body, is not able to be processed by the liver. Infants present, like Evan did, liver failure, jaundice, fluid in the belly, which was why he was so swollen, blood clotting problems. It can be fatal if it presents this early. So they were very fortunate to reach a name and a diagnosis and receive necessary treatment.
So John, you were receiving treatment there to help Evan live?
Yeah, they immediately started the treatment and started to come back.
Improve, yes.
Yeah.
And doctor, genetic rare?
Yes, it's very rare. Both parents are carriers for the disease. It's 1 in 100,000. There are probably about 100 patients in the United States and about 200 in the world. Difficult to diagnose, confusing with other conditions. A newborn screening test is available, but may give false negative results, and you have to be aware and clinically make diagnosis and think that it could be metabolic. And we can save children. I'm very glad that Evan made it.
We were given a newborn screening and they told us everything was fine, take your son home and enjoy your life. There's nothing wrong with him.
And I want you to stay right there because, John, I want to learn more about this test, doctor, more about the disease. And of course, Evan, he's coming out to join us. Evan is alive and doing well, so stay right there. We're going to hear more about Evan and how he's doing today. Welcome back to The Balancing Act. We're here with Dr. Chelacola from the University of North Carolina School of Medicine and a remarkable family, John and Amanda Miller, who faced an extremely rare disease. They not only beat it, they're now helping others faced with the same diagnosis. Amanda, let me bring you in. You started an organization. It's really important because it's just such a rare disease. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so my husband actually started more of it, but we went to a rare disease day event that was held in our state, and everyone was just talking to us and there wasn't much for tyrosinemia, so it was mostly his idea.
And John, when you decided to do this, did it kind of help you cope with the fact that your son had this disease, that he had 48 hours to live, what you went through, maybe even helping other families out there?
Yeah, it was incredibly traumatic when they give us the diagnosis and they write it down on a napkin and you Google that word, tyrosinemia, and you find nothing.
Nothing on it.
There was nothing on the internet about it.
Well, the doctors told us not to read anything on the
internet.
internet.
Yeah, they said
either.
don't read anything because it's all scary.
But while you were still trying to find out information, you couldn't find anything.
There was nothing. The first thing we did was start a Facebook group and just to see if anybody with tyrosinemia would search that tagline and then join us. And next thing you know, another family came in, another family came in, another family came in. Hey, we've got a child, we've got a child, we've got a child. And it's grown now to where we have over 300 members around the world of medical professionals, people from pharmaceutical companies, and of course, families, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and some of the young adult patients themselves. And we're representing 56 patients at this time.
That's great. And doctor, let's recap again, because again, it is a very rare disease, HT-1. The accurate screening test, really important, isn't it?
Yes. So newborn screening programs usually look at tyrosine levels, and that's not accurate and can have false results, as it did in Evan's case. The most accurate one right now is succinylacetone. Unfortunately, not all states are screening with this technique, and we recommend that that's the standard of care in the United States and in the world to make this diagnosis earlier. The earlier you make the diagnosis, the better outcome will it be for all children involved. And I would like to thank this family for their work and advocacy, because communities of parents working with physicians will increase awareness of such rare disorders.
And important to note also the treatment protocols that are available, which is exactly what Evan received.
Yes. So the condition requires a special diet, low in tyrosine and phenylalanine, and also special medical foods like a formula that he will be drinking.
Well, I actually want to bring Evan out if we can. I think there he is. Come, Evan. Come join us. How are you?
Hey, buddy.
Oh, he's so shy. I heard you just turned 6. Happy birthday to you.
I'm in 4th grade.
You are?
Yeah.
You are just fantastic. You know that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you do.
I was watching you. I was in that room by that meal.
How did I do? Did I do okay?
Yeah.
I did all right, right? But Dad did good, right?
Yeah.
And Mom did great.
Yeah.
Evan, say I have tyrosinemia and I'm okay.
I have time to me because I'm okay.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming, okay?
You're welcome.
For our viewers out there that would love to learn more about HT-1 and your organization and everything they need to know, where would they go?
They would go to www.notacares.org. It's N-O-T-A cares.org.
I want to thank you both so much for sharing your story. Doctor, thank you so much for coming in today.
Anytime.
Anytime. You come back, okay? You're like my favorite guest at this point. God bless you.
Well, I'm going to. The beach after this.
And if you'd like more information on HT-1, look at the website right now on your screen. Click it, learn more, and also go to our website, thebalancingact.com, for more information. Love this kid. In America today, there are millions of people who are active caregivers, either for a family member or a friend, a spouse, or even a child with special needs. Today's caregivers provide unpaid care to someone who depends on them for daily support. Caregivers are often invisible as a group that also needs care. With us today is Lisa Flannery, CEO of Degree of Honor. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I was reading here. I love your philosophy. It says insurance with a heart.
Well, Degree of Honor is an insurance company, but it's a special insurance company. It's called a Fraternal Benefit Society. And we have an obligation as a fraternal to not only provide insurance, but to also give back to the communities. So to me, that's what insurance with a heart is all about.
The statistics are really incredible. Roughly 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. is an unpaid caregiver.
What we've learned is that on average, caregivers, unpaid caregivers, have lost over $300,000 in income.
Wow.
And that's because they're either taking, a step back in their careers, they're maybe not saving as much, they're not contributing to their 401ks, they may lose Social Security benefits.
Because they're helping someone.
And because they're helping others.
And you have a personal story of a mother
Yes.
who adopted a little baby in China. Tell me what happened to her.
Pam was a member of our family, of our Degree of Honor family, and Pam and her husband adopted a child, Allie, from China, and she was 1 year old, and she expected that she was adopting a healthy young baby. When she got Allie home, she discovered that she was having some seizures and she wasn't sure what it was all about. And it took up to 6 or 7 years for her to discover that Allie had cognitive issues and seizure disorders, yes, and then had become now a single mother with this baby with these additional needs that she really didn't expect. So when you look at unpaid caregivers and what they contribute to society, if you put a value on that and you paid them a reasonable hourly wage on an annual basis, it would be greater than Medicaid and out-of-pocket healthcare costs combined. So it's a big number, and it would be a big burden if that care had to be paid for.
So how are you connecting with these people? Because definitely they have true needs.
Absolutely. So we've done a lot of exploration in this area, and really their needs are in 3 areas. One is just navigating the system, because there are a lot of resources available to them.
And they don't know.
But they don't know, and so they need help at navigating. And then they really just need help getting their lives organized. But the third, and to me the most compelling need that they have, is that what keeps them up at night is that they are really worried about what is going to happen to this person if something happens to me.
Lisa, such a difficult transition for so many baby boomers today that are becoming caregivers and living with this day in and day out.
Right, and they're transitioning. In many cases, our members are in that baby boomer, maybe the older end of the baby boomer market, and they're transitioning from caregiver to care receiver. So we're trying to reach out now to that next generation that's moving into that caregiver role to help support them in their new roles as caregivers.
And I know you're helping in so many ways. In fact, I want to wrap up with a wonderful video. Tell me what's happening here, because this is just awesome.
So this was in September, and it was an agent and his wife who started a service club as part of our company, a Degree of Honor Service Club. And the wife worked with her church and with the service club, and she put on this event. And for many of these children, they had never been to a dance before. So it was a chance for them to get dressed up, walk the red carpet, and just really have a fun night. What we've seen is that the stress on the caregiver is so great, and they're in a position where they just absolutely need to protect their families. And so we want to do everything that we can to help them protect them financially and emotionally and in the community.
So for more information on Degree of Honor, where do our viewers go?
So you can go to degreeofhonor.com to learn more about our company and what we do.
Thank you so much for what you do. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And if you'd like more information on Degree of Honor, you can also go to our website, thebalancingact.com. Thanks so much for starting your morning right here with us.
That's right, right here. So much good information on the website, thebalancingact.com. Check it out.
That's right, and check out Facebook
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Twitter. We are there. Until the next time.
Remember, find your balance. So long, everybody.